What's up, guys? We'll start with the concept of limits. We were supposed to. Okay, this is what will happen in today's class. Will for sure come for 3 mark, 100%. So the question goes like this: You learn three things. It's called as the first principle. Now, always understand, without learning the previous concept, you will not be able to get this right. So, what's the sandwich theorem which I sent you yesterday? Because that last answer is required for deriving all these three things. It's called as deriving sine, cos, as well as tan using first principle. But wherever first principle has been involved, all those places you'll have to apply sandwich theorem. Okay, remember this. So if you've not yet got that answer, if you've not yet learned the sandwich theorem, supposed to learn that first and then come back here. Okay, so let's start off with this. So the question will go like this: derive sine x. So again, either sine will come, cos or tan. Nothing else apart from this. From first principle, this will be in your 3 marker main, as obviously you know it's a 3 marker main. It will be in the 3 marker main itself. Look at the way as to how it'll be called as first principle. Always means the same method. You can't use any other method, and do not try to skip steps here. One formula from trigonometry which you learned in chapter 3 will be useful here. But again, you can start off with, if you forgotten that, you can learn it right here. Okay, so first we start off by trying to assume a function. The assume will be, so since we're trying to assume one thing, we'll let f of x, the function will always be equal to sine x. Once we assume this, we're going to start off with the limit concept. Let me explain a small concept of limit here right now, and then you'll be able to understand. So let's say I write limit h minus 0, where h tends to 0. Limit in simple language means substitution. Wherever a value of a variable is given to us, substitute in step number 2. That's what it means. So let's say I assume the limit h tends to 5. This means h tends to 5. Okay. So what you do, the boxed one right now will be called as the function. So you take the value of the h, you take value of h and start substituting in the main function. So in this question, it was 5. So the answer will be limit, sorry. It'll be 5 minus 0. The answer is 5. 5. Oh, shit. One second. It'll be 5 minus 0. The answer is equal to 5. So what we do when it comes to limits is take the value and substitute in the main function. Should the main function always be in terms of numbers? No, it can be in terms of angles also. For example, I can write limit x tends to pi by 2 and write sine x here. So it means what? This is step number 1. Whatever I wrote right now is step number 1. In step number 2, wherever there is x, you will substitute that instead of x, you write pi by 2. That's all. So you write sine pi by 2. What is sine pi by 2? Sine 90. Sine 90, the answer is nothing but 1. So this is the answer for the question. Sine limit x tends to pi by 2, sine of x. Fine. So since we know the value of limits right now, we will go back to our specific derivation. So first of all, we assume limit of the function to be f of x. Now, always understand, next step is you write f dash x on the left hand side. Important formula this is of limits. Okay. So limit f dash x, you got to remember that, will be equal to limit h tends to 0. Okay. Understand one small hint here. If you just write f of x, then the answer on the right hand side will only have x, will not have any other letter apart from x. But the moment you bring f dash into picture on the left hand side, one extra letter called h will come into picture, and wherever h goes here, 0 always follows. Remember that hint. So limit h tends to 0, f of x plus h minus of f of x whole thing divided by h. This is the meaning of first principle. In other language, this is the formula for first principle. I'll repeat that. First principle should always have f dash. Wherever there is f dash, you'll always bring h into picture. Wherever h follows, 0 also follows. Okay, you write the limit, and on the right hand side, you'll write f of x plus h minus f of x whole thing divided by h. Now, in the next line, all we learned is, I'm supposed to substitute. I'll keep the limit h tends to 0 as it is. Ignore the left hand side. See, I know the meaning of function. Okay, the function is whatever we assume. In this case, it was sine. So f of x plus h becomes sine of x plus h, because the function's meaning is sine. So sine of h plus h minus as it is. F of x was there. Fortunately, I know the answer. What is it? The answer is f of x, which is nothing but sine x. I change everything in terms of my function and start off. I'll keep the h as it is. This is the place where people tend to get confused. because we do not know how to proceed further. Always remember, look at the boxed part right now, the numerator. Don't you think the numerator is in the form of sine A minus sine B? Only the numerator. I'll ignore the denominator because anyways it's going to become 0. How do I know that? Look at this. H tends to 0 is what it says. So basically on the right hand side, that the numerator is in the form of sine A minus sine B. So obviously we'll have to recap as to what the formula for sine A minus sine B was. I'll write it here. When you're trying to derive also, you're supposed to write it. Again, there's no rule, but if you write it, they tend to give you more. They tend to give you full mark without even hesitating. That's the concept. So sine A minus sine B goes by the formula 2 as it is. Cos of, open brackets, A plus B by 2 dot sine of A minus B by 2. Where do we learn this? In third chapter of trigonometry in first year. Okay. Now we learned that, we understood that. I'm supposed to apply that concept formula in the specific concept. So I'll write limit h tends to 0 as it is. One small hint here is, since there is absolutely 0 change in the denominator, you would write whole thing divided by h first, or else you tending to get confused will become more. So what happens right now on the numerator is what I'm supposed to apply the formula. You write 2 as it is. Cos of A plus B. If you look at the top part here, the value of A is nothing but x plus h. So first you write the cos as it is. A's value is x plus h as it is. It says plus B. So plus B's value is only x. So I write x whole thing divided by 2. I'll open and close brackets. Dot. Sign as it is. A's value is x plus h. Again, minus was there. X gets cancelled. Whole thing divided by 2. I'll repeat it. I wrote the formula and substituted. It's just that the value of A is nothing but x plus h. The value of B is nothing but x. I know this. I would suggest you guys to write the formula as I told you, then substitute it. What was the hint I told you? Write the denominator first and then try to get the answer. Now, we will try to simplify wherever possible. In the next slide, I'll do it. 1 second. Okay. So, obviously, what happens in this case? Limit x tends to 0 as it is. Copy paste. No change. Whole thing divided by h also copy paste. Now here, 2 cos, I'll open close brackets. Sine I'll write, I'll open close bracket. Now let's go back to the previous state to understand what and all can be substituted, can be simplified. So if you see, if I add both these x plus x, it gives me 2x. So first, then on the next thing, x plus x minus x gets cancelled. So I'll remember this. I'll get the answer in the latest slide here. Okay. So 2 cos, it becomes 2x plus h whole thing divided by 2. Here it becomes h by 2. Now this is the place where I'm supposed to understand sandwich theorem. When you learn sandwich theorem, when you guys learn sandwich theorem, you realize that sine something by the same thing is equal to 1. That's what we told. But here, if you observe properly, let me dot that part for you. Sine something by the same thing is equal to 1. But the problem here is on the numerator, there was h by 2. On the denominator, there's only h. So right now, I'm supposed to convert one of them. Converting the numerator is kind of difficult. Why? Because the sign h by 2 is an angle in the numerator. Difficult to convert. But if you think from the denominator's perspective, it's easy to convert. So instead of writing, since I wanted h by 2, I'll write h by 2, which means since I divided it by 2, I'll also have to multiply it by 2. I'll repeat it. I am trying to replicate sandwich theorem, which says sine something by the same thing is equal to 1. Sine something was h by 2 here, but unfortunately only h was there in the denominator. I had to convert the h into h by 2. So what do? I divide and multiply by 2 only in the denominator. Why not the numerator? Because numerator h by 2 is an angle. That's why. So if you see whatever I marked right now, that will give me, in that place, sandwich theorem can be used. Okay, sandwich theorem can be used. This excess 2, don't worry, will get cancelled with that 2 on the numerator. So after cancelling all those things, limit h tends to 0 remains as it is. The 2 and the 2 got cancelled. Cos of, open brackets, 2x plus h whole thing divided by 2 remains as it is. Dot. Sine h by 2. Make sure you guys use the bracket because h by 2 on the numerator is an angle. H by 2 is there as it is. Mark this part. Apply sandwich theorem. This answer will be equal to 1. Using what? Sandwich theorem. Yesterday's concept. Now, which means what and all is remaining? Limit h tends to 0. Okay, 1 second. Limit cos of h tends to 0, I forgot. Cos of 2x plus h by 2. Now it's very simple. Last step, no. Wherever there is h, substitute the value. What is the value of h in this case? 0. How do we know? The question says that. So I'll write cos as it is. I'll open bracket. I'll write 2x as it is. Instead of writing h, I write 0. whole thing divided by 2, which is nothing but cos of 2x by 2 gets cancelled. What's the answer? Cos of x. That's all. Cos x is the answer. So first principle of sin x is equal to, the answer for sin x using first principle is equal to cos x. That's all. So what I do in the last part one step, everything got simplified. The answer became 0. So 2x plus 0 by 2, then 2 and 2 gets cancelled. We're done with the first answer. Okay. So similarly, they'll ask you one more concept based on instead of sin x, they'll ask for cos x. Both are same. Okay. Same procedure is what I meant. Fine. So f of x, we'll assume it to be cos x in this case. Fine. So we write f dash x. I told you wherever we use f dash x, h has to come into picture. So we write limit h tends to 0, f of x. This is the formula. F of x plus h minus f of x whole thing divided by h. I applied the formula. Now, since I know the value of function, I'll apply the function as cos x. So I'll write, I won't write the left hand side. Limit h tends to 0 remains as it is. The function in this case was cos. I'll add cos, open bracket, x plus h as it is, minus, I know the f of x, cos x as it is, whole thing divided by h. Now, as I told you, limit h tends to 0 remains as it is, whole thing divided by h remains as it is. Observe the numerator properly. Don't you think it's in the form of cos a minus cos b? So I'm supposed to know the answer for the formula for cos a minus cos b. If you've forgotten, no worries, I'll write the formula right here. Cos a minus cos b was given by the formula minus 2 sine, open brackets, a plus b by 2 sine a minus b by 2. That's all. So I'll have to apply here. In this case, the value of a was x plus h, value of b is equal to x. Be careful by substituting. So minus 2 dot sine remains as it is. Instead of writing a, you write x plus h plus x as it is, whole thing divided by 2 dot sine a is x plus h minus x whole thing divided by 2. Now it's all about regular math. This is the formula which you're supposed to write to get complete full marks. Limit h tends to 0 remains as it is, whole thing divided by h as it is. Let's see what math we can do here. Minus 2 sine remains as it is. X plus x becomes 2x plus h whole thing divided by 2 dot sine of x plus x minus x gets cancelled. Sine of h by 2. Same concept what we applied in the previous case. I'm supposed to make both of them look the same. Why? So that I'm supposed to apply sandwich theorem. I'll do that right now. So limit h tends to 0 remains as it is. The denominator, no change as of now. No change as of now. So we write minus 2 sine. My bad. Minus 2 sine of, I'll open brackets, 2x plus h by 2 dot sine of h by 2 was there. I'll try to make it the same. How to make it the same? Divide by 2, multiply by 2. Now I'll be able to apply sandwich theorem. Cut off the 2. After the cutting of the 2, limit h tends to 0 remains as it is. Minus remains as it is. Sine of 2x plus h whole thing divided by 2. We know the value of h fortunately. What is it? 0. Limit. Oh no, not required. Directly write equal to write off. You forgot the left hand side. Left hand side meant f dash x from initial times. F dash x is equal to minus sine. I'll write 2x plus, what's the value of h here? 0, whole thing divided by 2. What and what gets cancelled? 2 and 2 gets cancelled. Minus sine x is equal to f dash x. 100% one of these two questions will come. Practice this twice. 3 marker. Again, as you guys already know, 3 marker is the place where people tend to lose a lot of marks when it comes to PUC exams. So make sure you guys don't ignore this. Limits as a complete concept is difficult, but end of the day, 8 marks is very easy. Sandwich theorem, what you learned in yesterday's video, and today's video, what you guys learned under this concept called as first principle. The name always says first principle. Nothing else apart from this will be asked. Okay.